Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Angelic Alchemy Meenakshi. Welcome to my channel. A quick introduction of myself. I am an aura practitioner, a raw Reiki, as well as a quantum galactic Akashic reader. And you can find out more about me on my website, angelicalchemyholistic.healing.com, as well as my profile on aurapractitioners.com by the same name, Angelic Alchemy Meenakshi. I'm also a seer, a quantum alchemist, and a channel to the divine. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I wanted to share some messages that came through for the collective through a beautiful healing that we just had recently during these full moon days, nights. I was approached by a client who, in one of her meditation, was taken to a time and space, which put her a little bit in a frequency of fear, yet she wanted to approach it with a frequency of wanting to know more about it and ensure that she gets down to the root cause and the bottom of what was going on with her in that time and space that they showed her, because she did believe her beautiful galactic guides and her higher self. So during her meditation, she was taken to a place where she saw another her. She was quite sure it was her, in the form of a transformer. Yes, quite literally like a transformer, like the toy transformers that the children play with. And she saw herself fully functional there, and that was it. That was all that was revealed to her. And then when she woke up, she started wondering what that was about, and she went a little bit into fear, wondering why she was shown that, if it was real or unreal, and she wanted to know more about it. But what really validated her meditation was the fact that she was actually feeling a lot of physical discomfort and misalignment within herself. And soon after the meditation, she also realized, around the same time, I think approximately, she realized that she was sensing stiffness in her body, and she felt literally physically, because she could sense and feel a lot. She felt these energies entering her body, like they wanted to sort of repress her, and they felt artificial. They felt like they had metal in them, and they were very painful as well. And she mostly felt them in her arms and her hands and her arms, her shoulders, as well as in her feet. Her feet felt really heavy as well. So she came to me for a raw session, and sure enough, in the raw session, we did discover the transformer that was attached through that lifetime. And it was also physically, it had entered her body. And so the angels went about, her higher self and the angels went about, and they dismantled, transmuted, removed it in, the process that we flow with, for the artificial that is attached within people. As that was done, she could feel all of it just releasing, coming out. But soon after a few days, she felt that some of the aches and pains didn't completely leave her. And there was more to this healing than what she had just, gone through. And she knew that there was a bigger purpose to it. And that's why she needed to go through perhaps an aura session to go in and find out more about this time and space that she went through, which worked out beautifully, because the raw session helped her clear out, everything that was coming in the way, and it prepared and made way for the beautiful aura session that flowed post that, for the final culmination of her healing. So we went through the aura session, and this is literally on the full moon night day. We had it in the morning. As she went into the session, she found herself within that same time and space. And not just her, there was another transformer, and there were some little tiny robot-like transformers, which should look, she said they look kind of like minions. And then she saw herself. The her that was standing there seemed to be very off, in the sense that it did seem to have any energy, like it was almost dead. And that made sense, because it had been dismantled from her, and the her here was actually providing it the physical energy to exist there. And now that the raw session had taken care of it, this other transformer was not receiving any energy from her anymore. So she said it looked like it was, hardly alive. It didn't look like it had any life in it. Okay. So we decided to follow to see how it came about that she found herself in a transformer form. And so we went back and back and back into her lifetimes. And she found herself first as a Pleiadian in a spaceship where she was visiting the Orion belt. There was a specific planet that they were visiting to check the frequency of that planet. And she remembers exiting the planet once she was done with that. And then the second round, she found herself as a blue avian race existing on the same planet. And this time, she was in this beautiful, gorgeous, feathery bird, blue and all kinds of colors. And they were living quite peacefully, but there were a lot of races there that were not positive anymore. So they had come into that timeline when the darkness had started flowing through, the inverted darkness had started flowing through, and she could feel that, particularly from the reptilian race. And I'm not sure, because I will be sharing the session later, you can watch it. There might have been some grays as well. And then she found herself after that in a place which was like a laboratory where they were being experimented upon. So what they had done was they had captured all the women, blue avian race females, and they had laid them down in the laboratory and they were experimenting on them. She couldn't feel anything because they were numb, but she could clearly see that they were, taking out the essence from them, and then they were putting them in test tubes. And something like, she called it a jellyfish like being was being created in the test tube. And then, we asked her to follow along to see what they were doing. And then they took it to this place, which in the beginning of this whole experiment, she actually found herself in this time and space, which seemed to be, she called it the red sun. It seemed artificial. There was something very artificial about it. And she said that they were back again in that artificial realm. All of this was happening there. And what they did was they kept these jellyfish like substances, I don't know what to call them, but they did have organic essences in them of these beautiful blue avian females, sisters, and they put them out under this artificial sun or whatever the energy of this place was. And somehow they were growing into like bigger beings, bigger structures, but still in the same, maintaining the same jelly-like form. And then what they were doing was they were taking this jelly-like substance and they were attaching it to people's stomachs. Okay, I'm forgetting now how that happened. We'll have to go back and watch the session, but I'll be sharing the session. So they somehow got it into people's stomachs here on Earth, and I'm not sure if they did it in other timelines, other planets as well, but here on Earth they managed to get into people's stomachs. That was clearly shared, that the organic consciousness was laid in the stomach. And then she saw a factory where these transformers were being created, made by the gray aliens, and they were bringing them together, putting their arms together and the nuts and bolts, and legs together, nuts and bolts. And also the first transformer that she saw was training the minions to walk. So it would teach them, how to move their arms and hands, how to move their eyes, and also how to emote, when you have to smile, how do you smile? So they were teaching them all of that. And, of course, we've come across transformers and robots before. That has happened. And we've, gone about healing them. But this was really a different level where we were going into finding out where they came from. I do have another session on my channel here. I think it's called Robots in Humans. That'll add more to this. That has a lot of self-healing on it. That has a lot of information on self-healing from these robots as well. So now these transformers, to attach the transformers, they were putting these organic jelly-like, semi-organic jelly-like substances in people's stomachs. So they became like the consciousness of this artificial that they were going to attach to them. So they became this organic consciousness of this artificial that they were going to attach to these people, the artificial transformer. So that's what they did. They put in those organic consciousness. So they put the organic consciousness, the semi-organic consciousness of the jellyfish-like substance in people's stomachs, and then they attached transformers to them. And that's what happened to her as well. So yes, that's what happened. And then we came down to the healing of it, trying to find out how the transformer, her, approached her here and what was the reason for all of this. So her higher self came in and spoke about it. So basically she was taken in her meditation, and they wanted to show her that there is another her in the universe that is struggling, that is artificial, and that is being misused and abused. And the her there was calling her here from Earth for assistance to see if something could be done. And so because she went into fear, it wouldn't have attached, but because, when she came out of the meditation, she went into fear, and that vibration allowed for that transformer to physically start attaching within her. It took some time to build up, but it did. So that's what happened. And while we cleared everything in the raw, what they did was the angels purposely left a little bit of the organic consciousness of that jelly fish in her stomach, because we were supposed to come back and finish it off in the aura session, because it was important to understand the root cause of where these transformer beings were coming from, and how something so artificial could be attached to such beautiful organic beings as the humans here on Earth. And so that's what her higher self said. And then when we severed the cords and we deleted those timelines as well, they did leave that open because we needed to go back to it. We needed to go back to it for the collective, is what we heard. They said that this was a mission that she had taken. Her mission was to not only heal herself, but to bring about a healing for the collective through her own healing. So that's what we went about doing in this beautiful session. And the organic jellyfish, as she called it, they were all positive polarized, they were cleansed, and they were taken back to her oversoul, so that the blue avian race that was missing this essence, they could get the pure version of it. And obviously the transformer was transmuted, and then we decided to look into the collective healing. And we were speaking with Archangel Michael, Metatron, and Zadkiel, who were helping us. And it was identified that there were millions of fractured souls and millions of soul essences within this time and space, this red realm that she felt looked like an artificial sun, that was still there. They were still being experimented upon, and they were still being held up there as transformers, and they were attached to human versions of themselves here. And so, with the permission of the Ra and the permission of Source, we check with the collective consciousness of these souls if they wanted this healing, and they all said yes. And that's why this session came about. The collective consciousness asked for this healing. And so we called on Source as well. Source and the archangels went in, and they started retrieving the organic essences from these transformers. It took quite a while, almost the entire session. They were doing it while we were healing her. And they returned them all back to their higher selves, their oversouls. And there's going to be, there's going to be a process where it's going to be cleansed, because some of them would be so corrupt that they wouldn't want to attach them back into the people that are here. They would want to make sure that it goes back to their organic, to their higher selves and the oversouls for healing, and only a complete pure essence would be received by people that have to receive it, that are willing to receive it through their own higher selves, and the archangels and Ra and Source. And so this process took a while, and they said it's going to take a while because there's millions and millions of souls here. There are fractured souls, there are essences. And they said that this, so then we wanted to know, how is it that these essences were able to grow within the artificial sun? What is that? What is it that aided it to grow? And we realized that it was vibrating and throbbing. So there was something really organic about it. And then finally, the angels shared with us that the place where she found herself was actually a planet. And the essence of the planet itself was captured. Yes. And the essence of the planet was captured, and it was being used for this purpose of making artificial beings. And it is because of the organic of that essence that they were able to grow the organic within the artificial and place it in people. So yes, we check with Source and we check with the archangels if we can, is this planet redeemable? Can it be restored? Can life be brought back? And they said we will look into it, and they started healing the planet, and they brought about so much healing. I'm sure they continued later as well, that eventually the planet was revived, it was restored. and we could see it as a beautiful amber orb, and she said it was glowing and it was floating, and was so happy to be free, to be liberated once again from this inorganic role that it was unfortunately put into against its will. Yes, and so that's what it was, and that was her mission, and we came together for this beautiful mission for the healing of the collective. And it all just tied up so beautifully because full moon is all about shadow work and looking into our shadows to see what is hiding, what is ready to be healed, what is ready to be released, what are we ready to let go of that is not of the highest vibration for us, and then bringing about that cleansing and healing so that we can step into the new us, because now we're going to step into the new moon, going into a new cycle. And that's what the planet did. It looked into its shadow side and it called for this healing for itself. It was not just organic shadow, it was all the inorganic that was going into it as well. So light shone, the full moon night light shone onto that planet for it to be able to show the angelics and that it's ready to heal itself. It's ready to liberate itself and be organic once again. The planet expressed its free will, and the timing was just perfect because it all happens with divine timing. And so, yes, that's what happened. It's like the collective consciousness of these souls that were trapped there, their essences, the fractured souls, also asked for this healing on this beautiful full moon night of the hunter moon of October 2022. And they're all liberated. They freed themselves from that artificial, and they're all going to feel fuller because, as they shared, and tomorrow's also we're going into the October 1010 portal, which is going to bring into completion this beautiful healing that took place for the collective and this beautiful amber planet. We're so excited and happy, brought us to tears. Yes, there's one more point that I wanted to talk about. Let me see if I don't want to make sure I don't forget it. Yes, and the other thing that the Galactics shared with us was having something as artificial as a transformer or a robot like being within an organic body, like a human body, would definitely bring about emotional, physical, spiritual, mental, psychological traumas and pain. And there are a lot of, even medical disorders and diseases and sufferings that people are going through. Discomforts that people are going through, which are because of all of this artificial that is within them. And definitely the client was feeling it. She was feeling all these aches and pains. And because this transformer was trying to take over. And also, they also shared that even missing a tiny little fraction of your essence can be very painful. And it would also cause, imbalances, disturbances, again, the same symptoms of being spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally not being completely aligned, because there is a piece of that being, of that soul missing. No matter how small that fraction is, it makes a difference. So yes, I just wanted to share this beautiful update with you all. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to be sharing this session soon. So do look out for it as and when it comes in. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I love you, honor you, and respect you. Have a beautiful full moon night with your beautiful family, ready to heal, cleanse, let go of anything that is holding you down, liberating yourself to be your highest, most beautiful, benevolent, organic version of you, your higher self, and your oversoul here on earth. Thank you. Love you, honor you, and respect you. Thank you. Love you.